If consistency is the name of the game, I would argue that Run the Jewels, Killer Mike and LP as a duo have been one of the most consistent duos in the 2010s and one of the more consistent duos in hip-hop music in general. Their debut self-titled album was incredible. Their follow-up to that album, Run the Jewels 2, was even more incredible, one of the best hip-hop albums of the decade, mind you. Run the Jewels 3 was a good follow-up to those two projects, and now we're getting the fourth installment at the perfect time. With everything going on in the world, Killer Mike and LP decided to drop this album a few days early than scheduled, because if the coronavirus wasn't enough, we are now getting more protests than ever before. We have Black Lives Matter movements all across the United States, all across the world. I mean, rightfully so, but still, we are having calls for the defunding of polices. Is polices plural? Whatever. Now, Killer Mike and LP, I have found to really enjoy their work, not only as Run the Jewels, but solo-wise too. LP's production style is something that really appeals to me, and I love the hardcore flows and bars Killer Mike has to offer on almost any project. And every time these two collaborate, they always create something magical. And most of the time that is no exception on this project over here. I would argue this is the duo's most explosive and most bombastic album yet, with some of the punchiest production to date. That is immediately shown on the opening track, Yankee and the Brave, where you have these gunshot snares that Killer Mike is rhyming over. I mean, it is an amazing introduction to this album. You also get the track Holy CALAMAFUCK, which is not only an amazing title, but an incredible song. From the production to the flows and the lyrics and the bars and everything about this track, I mean, it is a perfect song, no doubt. During about the halfway point of the song, there's an amazing beat switch up to a more grimy and dirty sound. The tempo is slowed down ever so slightly, and the instrumentation, while it doesn't take a completely different approach from the first half of the song, it definitely has a different sound than the first half. I like how this song plays into the next track, Goonies versus E.T. There's also another aspect to this album that I really appreciate, that I think is more focused on this record compared to their previous output, and that there's a lot more going on in the production. Let's point to the track Walking in the Snow, where there are some really interesting guitar tones during the beginning of the song. And the song The Ground Below is probably the closest Run the Jewels has come to making a pure rap rock song, with its alt-rock lead riff that is playing throughout most of this track. I mean, honestly, it might just be a rap rock song because this song is so oriented around this instrumental. The few complaints I have with the song is that it's not long enough, and that the flows and verses between Killer Mike and LP are pretty usual for the duo. That also happens for the track Out of Sight, where the song itself doesn't sound bad. However, it's probably one of the weaker moments on this record. If there is a weak moment on this album, it is this song. Despite it sounding good, having a good overall quality about it, it just feels kinda usual. For Run the Jewels, usual is kind of that bad space to be in. If it were any other duo, being usual would pretty much be fine, but for Run the Jewels, because of their incredibly consistent and high quality content, they can't be usual. The production is really killer, and the 2 Chainz feature is really nice as well, but overall this song just feels too ordinary for the duo. And on initial listens to the track Ooh La La, I really did not care for the very zany vocal delivery from LP. And sound-wise, this song has a different tone compared to the rest of this album. Despite the song's, I guess, quirkiness getting in my brain and kind of programming me to kind of go along with whatever LP is doing, ooh la la on wee wee, the song itself is kind of fun to listen to despite it having a different tone compared to the rest of this record. I do like the DJ Premier touch-up at the end of the track too, but overall, it's definitely not a high point on this record. Despite those songs, the rest of the songs on here are great. I gotta shout out the song Just, featuring Pharrell Williams and Zach De La Rocha, which is an amazing track. stellar moment. This track opens up with Pharrell Williams giving his most cold-blooded verse in a long time, with him saying, mastered economics because you took yourself from squalor, mastered academics because your grades say you a scholar, master Instagram because you can instigate a follow, look at all these slave masters posing on yo dollar, and bar for bar, Killer Mike and LP do not miss on this song. And I like the juxtaposition that is thrown at us being slaves to money and having slave owners back in the day be the faces on our money. It's just tracks like these that remind me how well of a duo Killer Mike and LP are. At their high points, they can create lyrical masterpieces that make me go like, wow. What? Another lyrical moment on this record that is incredibly apt, especially for today, is on the track Walking in the Snow, where on verse 2 of this track, Killer Mike refers to the school to prison pipeline. And then in the same verse, he starts to then criticize the media, specifically saying, and every day on evening news, they feed you fear for free, and you're so numb you watch the cops choke out a man like me until my voice goes from shriek to whisper, I can't breathe. And the song itself was just about complete around November of 2019, and I believe the term I can't breathe refers to Eric Gardner, but given what's happened in Minneapolis, it is just wow, holy shit. It is just so ominous what is happening. He then goes on to say, but truly the travesty, you've been robbed of your empathy, replaced it with apathy. I wish I could magically fast forward to the future so then you can face it and see how fucked up it'll be. Yeah, just another lyrical high point on this record, mixed in with the other numerous times that happens on this album. Shifting to the production of this album, you have the track Never Look Back, which is honestly one of my favorites from the production standpoint. Despite its simplicity, which I think benefits it in the long run, the starkness of the synths underneath Killer Mike and LP's verses really just are a great backdrop for whatever the duo are saying. I get like a ASAP Rock vibe off of this track too, weirdly enough. I also like the ticking clock in the background of the song that happens during the beginning of the track. Basically, the sentiment of the song is to never look back, and a few other lyrical components of this track too. The track Pulling the Pin, featuring Mavis Staples and Josh Homme on, I believe, guitar, is one of the best moments where a featured artist is on. Mavis Staples delivers one of the best features on this record, hands down. Even if the chorus that she is on is brief, the lyrical aspect of it is just so damn good. I love her vocals on this, especially during the part where she says, it hurts, I'm being torn apart, there's a grenade in my heart, and the pin is in their palm. And at best, I'm just getting a grip, and I'm more stepping right from the start. Which definitely plays into what LP and Killer Mike are saying on the song about racial inequality and injustice in the country, or just in general. It's kind of like knowing something could be true, but you have to work your way to figure out how to prove it, and the thing that you don't want to be true turns out to be true in the end. I made that sound way more convoluted than it should be, but I hope you get what I mean. You then have the ambitious closing track, A Few Words for the Firing Squad, where Killer Mike and LP are going back and forth on this track, and basically it's, I assume, the final words to the firing squad before they kill them. Because there is kind of a theme running across all of these tracks with the Yankee and the Brave kind of mindset. It explains it during the final moments of the song, which is pretty ingenious actually, because then the track loops to the beginning of the album and it just loops and loops and loops forever and ever. I especially like the fourth verse on this track where Killer Mike says, this is for the do-gooders that the no-gooders used and then abused, for the truth-tellers tied to the whipping post, left beaten, battered, and bruised, for the ones whose bodies hung from the tree like a piece of strange fruit. Go hard, last words to the firing squad was, fuck you too. Then it goes into this about 2-minute saxophone solo, and then we get the start of the monologue at the end of the album, where it then starts to loop back to the beginning. Almost like the introduction song and opening scene to a TV show. So overall, the production of this record is great. I love how bombastic it is at some points. Some of the best production lands on this album throughout the entire Run the Jewels catalog. And so does lyricism on this record. The lyricism is pretty top-notch for the most part. Both Killer Mike and LP deliver great sets of bars, even if I didn't mention any of LP's, but still, it's there. Check it out. Just one thing about this record that kind of holds me back from really loving it is the fact that I feel like I already know where the punches are going to be thrown. Because the duo have been doing it ever since 2013, and they have stuck to the same formula over and over and over again, which works in their benefit. They've created some of the best hip-hop of that decade. But nowadays, I know where the punches are going to be thrown and how hard I'm going to be hit. So I can at least prepare myself and know what to expect from a Run the Jewels album. So while the one thing that did surprise me on this record was just how well performed and how intricate the production is on many of the tracks, the lyricism doesn't really surprise me all that much, even though there are some moments that blew me out of the water. That happens on most Run the Jewels projects though, which is one of the reasons why they're the greats. But still, I don't know how I could fix that problem though, despite it being so prevalent in this album, is that I already know what's gonna happen. It doesn't surprise me as much as maybe Run the Jewels 2 did. I don't genuinely know how to combat that. It's just how I feel about the record. So for now, I'm gonna give this album a B+, but I will eat my words if this album grows on me anytime soon. And I'm hopeful this will land on my top albums of the year list. But as it stands, it's a pretty important and very politically charged record, just like your usual Run the Jewels projects are, but now it's needed more than ever. Still, I am curious to know what are your thoughts and opinions on this album down below. Let me know what albums you want me to review next, and that's it. Like, comment, share, do whatever you want. Let me know how I can improve future videos down below. Remember, this is only my opinion because music is subjective.